Welcome back to another episode of the first episode, actually, of the Bach and Arthur Podcast with me and Arthur.
Yeah, Bach and Arthur. Clues in the name.
Clues is in the name. It took us a while to figure that one out.
Yeah, not the most inventive.
No.
But I mean, that's kind of why we're doing this first episode, isn't it? To basically say what the episode's about, because you guys have probably clocked the channel artwork and it's quite spacey.
Yeah. And we are not a space podcast, all right? We just think it looks cool, right?
It's a nice theme.
Yeah, it is a nice theme. And maybe we'll speak a little bit about space here and there.
Yeah.
You might get little gems of that.
Or, other like space-related stuff, because space is pretty interesting, but not a lot going on out there a lot of the time. But astrology, aliens, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Could be interesting to talk about.
And what's your star sign?
Aries.
Aries.
What's yours?
Virgo.
You're such a Virgo.
You're such an Aries. And that's why we're such a great duo, isn't it?
Yeah. And we were saying actually before we started this that we don't actually know each other that well.
No. How many times have we met?
In person?
Yeah. Five?
3, maybe
3?
4?
5.
But like we did our first video together, like a couple of months ago.
What? Yeah.
You put me through that excruciating ASMR video.
Oh, yeah.
We watched Boyfriend ASMR.
That was horrible, yeah.
We just never did a video again.
But yeah, we've still been watching that just off the screen.
Yeah.
Just together, we join a call every night. Send us to sleep.
That was him testing the waters and I actually really liked it. And I was like, send me more. And he's like, I can do one better.
It was quite good though, wasn't it?
It was very weird.
I liked it when they were touching the head.
Yeah, because I mean, this podcast could be anything. So if you want an ASMR episode,
it's coming.
We could whisper into the mic, tap our,
water.
Yeah.
That's water.
There you go.
You could tap that. ASMR episode inbound, as well as an astrology episode.
Yeah. But go on.
No, you go.
But basically, it can be anything. I think we wanted to just come on, have fun. We'll obviously get a bunch of guests on, explore a bunch of topics. But you guys will have a massive involvement. So the big part of the reason we called it just the Bach and Arthur Podcast is so that it can literally just be us two doing literally anything.
Anything. No limits.
Nothing's off limits.
Nothing is off limits. We'll do anything you ask.
For a fee, which is why you can join our Patreon at Bach and Arthur.
Good point. That's a good transition.
Not actually joking, because we put up a story yesterday, very last minute, just being like, let's get some submissions in. So they're going to be in episode 2. Mm-hmm. You can still get involved. So just go to @Bach and Arthur on socials and you'll see the links in the description and stuff, and you can go to the form and you can submit stuff. But we literally already have 1,000 and they are riddled with a lot of comments simping over Bach's mullet and moustache.
Really? I haven't looked at them.
Have you not?
No. Ooh.
But
Thanks, guys.
There's a lot of them that are basically using it like a dating app, just trying to slide into our DMs because they know we're going to read them. But embarrassing stories, asking for advice, just questions and topics you want us to cover. So you can use that form.
And we're very qualified for advice, aren't we?
Yeah, well.
Very qualified.
Yeah, very qualified.
We'll give you advice on anything. Anything.
Yeah, and so one of the Patreon perks is you'll actually get priority submissions. So if you're part of the Patreon, only £5 a month currently, you can get priority submissions. So
the price of 4 cheeseburgers.
Where are you getting £1.20 cheeseburgers?
McDonald's.
Fair enough.
Which is the sponsor of this episode.
No, it's not. Also, if you're a sponsor, feel free to shout out.
Shout us out and we'll be like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll figure it out with you guys legally, probably.
But I, for this first episode, like, obviously we wanted to get to know each other.
Yeah. Tell me about yourself.
Get you guys to know us. But like we were saying, like, we don't know each other that well. So maybe if you let everyone know who you are.
Okay. Yeah. I'll give you a bio. I'm Isaac, or Italianbach. I'm 24 years old. I am a YouTuber / TikToker.
Cool.
I studied astronomy and planetary science at school.
So that's part of why you love space, I imagine.
Yep, it is. And I did get the degree as well.
Go you, man.
Saying. And that's about it for my life. What about you?
Nice. I'm Arthur.
Yeah.
Sometimes known as ArthurTV or Arthur Frederick.
Arthur Frederick.
I did law at uni. And yeah, went on a very weird path. So I did law at uni, did a master's in business, and then did my LPC, which is like the practice exams you need to do to become a lawyer. Passed those and then started working. So when you become a lawyer, you've got like 2 years of being like a trainee, where you're like under the supervised supervision of an associate.
Yeah.
And that's like a 2-year thing. And I was like 6 months into that and basically was like, I had YouTube running at the same time. I'd been doing it for like a year. And I was like, I prefer YouTube so much, but because the law hours were so crazy, I was like, I kind of have to pick one. And I was like, now I've got the law degree and the exams, might as well just see where YouTube goes. And if it fails, I'll come back in 2 years.
That's sort of what I did. I always thought I'll use the degree as a backup if this fails. And it hasn't, because look at us.
Yeah.
Look at us here right now.
It could still fail. This episode could get 3 views.
This episode has just got 1 million views. Thank you, everyone, for viewing it.
It's #1 trending. Is what I'm hearing already.
Yeah, we're #1 trending. We've just had news in that we're #1 trending.
First podcast ever that's claimed that, by the way. I don't think anyone else #1 podcast. What were you going to be?
What was I going to be?
YouTube?
I don't know, because I was going to do a PhD in...
Oh, wow.
Probably I would have just chosen something about black holes. But other than that, I don't know. I was more or less buying time for YouTube, so...
Oh, did you always know you wanted to do YouTube?
Yeah.
How long have you been doing it?
Well, properly YouTube only like 3 years, but I've made videos since I was like 8. And there's channels out there with really old videos on it.
This is funny, actually. So obviously I'm known as Arthur TV. Weren't you originally...
I've had a few names.
Yeah.
I started as... what did I start as? Crazy Werewolf 888.
You're joking.
No.
You're joking.
No, good.
You were Crazy Werewolf 888.
So you've heard of me. Thank you.
That's not what I mean by that.
No, because I loved werewolves, and I was convinced that eventually that I might morph into one.
Are you secretly a furry? One of those?
Yes.
Do you howl at the moon?
Yeah. There's something in my ass right now.
It's I can't believe this. Keep going.
Yeah. And that was, I made Roblox content. And then I changed to Gamer Eye, because my name is Isaac. So I took the
Gamer Eye.
Gamer Eye. Had no success there. Moved to Jellyvids 888, because I like jelly. And 8 is my lucky number, you could probably tell.
That's crazy, because 88 on the internet is like a real no-no.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why?
8th letter of the alphabet is H. And so HH, I'm not going to say it, but you can think on that.
I'm confused.
The bad 1945 man.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it was related to that as well. And then
moving on swiftly from this cheery introduction topic.
And then after Jellyvids 888, which is a YouTube channel and it has videos on it.
Still?
The same as Gamer Eye, yeah, they're still out there. And,
wow.
And then I became Isaac Smith Fit, and I did fitness content, and then Italian Bach.
You were Isaac Smith Fit quite recently, weren't you? Because like if you Google you now, like when we were coming up with the podcast logo and I was going to send across the designer like some images of us, you were like, oh, I don't really have many of me. So I Googled it, and so many of your fitness videos come up first, weirdly.
That's pretty much all that comes up with me.
Yeah, especially on Google Images.
Yeah, and anything that has like a biography about me, it still says I do that.
Really?
Yeah. But I did it for a long time, and I had almost 400,000 followers on that TikTok account.
No way. Is it still up?
It's still up. It's like 320K now. Wow. But once Italian Bach took over, I just ditched it. Because that's what I wanted to do, was the like comedy stuff instead.
Over fitness?
Yeah. I just wanted to be more of just like me, like a personality.
Yeah.
And I could do whatever I want then. Whereas fitness, you've got to be a fitness guy and you only post fitness content.
Yeah.
But
and you don't feel like you only have to post photos of you as an old man being really
and now I can do that. Now I'm living the dream.
My end goal ever since I was 8 was to either be a werewolf or a horny man in his 60s.
That's all I saw
the dream
for
came
myself.
true when I was 24. Oh God.
But you have loads of accounts, don't you?
I have loads of YouTube channels.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
There's loads of them.
But they're all Arthur TV. So like I just wanted people to like, when they came up with, like when they wanted to find something from me, like Arthur TV True Crime.
Yeah.
If they wanted to find a video, I was like, oh, I might as well just call the like YouTube channel Arthur TV. Because if I come up with like a different name, like people will know me as like different things. Whereas I kind of like the idea of being known as like Arthur TV something.
Yeah.
Obviously my name's Arthur. So I started off my main channel as like reviewing like TV shows, just literally like scripting jokes of those old, I don't know if you've ever seen them, like the old airline clips.
Yeah, I realised that I watched your airline videos before I knew you.
No way.
Yeah, because I used to watch them and then I went back and I was like, was it Arthur all along? And it was you. And a lot of my friends say that as well.
Really?
They watched those clips.
That's
how
so
they remember
weird.
you. Yeah.
Because when I went on the Low IQ podcast the other day, Jack said the exact same thing. And he was like, yeah, I had no idea.
Well, they were popular, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. To be fair, I'm never going to reach those heights again. I think the first one got like 6 mil views. I got a really lucky start with YouTube because there was like this r/like public freakout subreddit. And so when I made a compilation from this like old show that wasn't on TV anymore, people loved it and it got to like the front page. So like, because that was like my first like proper video, like loads of people saw it. The algorithm was like, oh wow, there's loads of external views, and just pumped it to like, might be like 4 or 5, but I think it was like 5 or 6.
That's crazy.
And then since then I've just been chasing that. Like I was trying other videos in between. Like I did like drama alert style videos.
Yeah.
I did memulous style videos, like all that kind of stuff. And they always got like 5-10K. And then people were like, do another airline video, and it would get like 500,000 in like the first week. And that trend towards like 1 or 2. And I was like, I've just got to keep going. And then it got to like episode 18 or 19, and they were all getting copyright claimed, obviously by ITV, because like it wasn't transformative enough. And I was like, if I want to make this into my job, I need to do something I'm allowed to do. And randomly Discovery and TLC, who like own 90 Day Fiancé, were like, you can do our show and we'll allow you to keep the revenue.
I was going to say, how do you not get copyright on that?
Yeah, I've got like a contact there. So I every now and then like promote certain seasons and episodes. So when 90 Day Fiancé UK season 1 came out, they basically brought 90 Day Fiancé. For those of you who don't know what 90 Day Fiancé is, it's like the main thing on my channel at the moment, essentially just because they asked me to do it. But it's a great show. It's like, if you're an American and you like fall in love with someone who's foreign, they get a 90-day visa for them to come across, and in those 90 days you can get married. So it just gives you loads of time. Like if you fall in love with someone internationally, they can come across, you've got 90 days to marry them, and then like, you know, they can apply for like permanent residency. But the issue is like, people will meet each other online, get them across on the 90-day visa like instantly, and then decide in those 90 days whether they love them, fall in love with them, ask them to marry them. So they rush what should be like a several year process into this short thing. And so many of them, I mean, obviously the producers realize that a lot of them getting scammed, and you often end up with like a 65-year-old with like a 20-year-old far more attractive person from someone who obviously just wants to come to the country to like chase the American dream. And it's always so entertaining. The culture clashes, they're like, someone's always inevitably end up like heartbroken and alone.
Like the Big Ed thing,
Big Ed,
that's
yeah.
90 Day Fiancé.
He's the main one. Like people will know him, I'm sure, from like the memes of him.
Yeah.
But like short guy, not particularly attractive. He's like 60 years old.
Yeah.
And he initially met a girl from the Philippines online, ended up treating her horrendously, and like just was on a cycle of just in these awful relationships, and is actually back next week for another season.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Are you covering it?
I am, yeah. And he's constantly on repeat. But then I reached out to Discovery, and I was like, what are your terms of like, in terms of copyright transformative and stuff? And they were like, if you promote like our show, like you can just do it. So I've got like a special link in my like video descriptions that says like, come, you know, subscribe to Discovery here. Halfway through like episode 1 of season 1, I was like, you can watch this on Discovery Channel. And other than that, they're like, if you keep the clips really short and your commentary is quite long, we'll allow you to do it. So. And so
have you always, is that what you always want to do? That sort of like commentary reaction style videos?
I think that's why I've made the second channel that's like Arthur Frederick. So that's Arthur TV. It's all TV shows, but like takes me like a week to do, takes me like ages to script, film, edit. It's not that fun. Whereas I love the videos like bringing mates on, playing games, like reacting to videos, like having a bit more laugh. It's a bit more natural. Yeah. And I think I prefer that. So I might make the move across, but I don't know. Yeah. It's the downside of YouTube. Like once you're in a pigeonhole, like if I uploaded a gaming video on Arthur TV, my main channel, it would flop because like all of those people are just interested in reaction content on American TV. Yeah. So they won't watch it and it will do really bad. Whereas if I build a channel that's a bit more like, oh, people come for me. You're kind of the same, aren't you? Like, yeah, if you try and post anything different on TikTok, on YouTube, it just doesn't do as well. No. And you will get comments saying, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? And if you do try it, although there's demand for it, it just doesn't hit the same. You just won't get the views on it. Because I've started to try and make more like real life videos because I do a lot of reaction stuff. But those videos just don't do as well. Even though I think it's a better video. Yeah. It just won't do as well because that's not what your audience really wants. Yeah. So Is that part of why you want to do a podcast then? Because that definitely was for me, like the reaction stuff. We were talking about it earlier with the reaction stuff. When you have a thought, you're like, I've got to say this really quickly and it'll get cut and then we'll move on. And people can't really get like that deep into things as much because it could be a bit more like people don't tune into a YouTube video to hear you waffle about something for like 5-10 minutes. Yeah. Whereas on a podcast, like you can actually go into something a bit deeper and people have a bit more time for exploring topics, I think.
Yeah, it feels like basically just a longer reaction video.
Yeah.
And instead of watching something, we're just like reacting to a topic or whatever in conversation.
Yeah.
And you're right, you cut it short on YouTube, but on this, you don't cut it short. You've got to you keep talking as much as you want.
And I really I don't know whether you're like this as well, but like when someone believes something differently to me, I love just like talking about it in like real depth and just really figuring out like, especially when it's something completely wild. I feel like everyone has something that they believe that isn't necessarily on good grounds, but they believe it anyway.
Do you have something like that?
Probably.
We could start a debate right now.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the first episodes I want to do is do conspiracy theories.
Oh yeah. Are you big into those?
I really like hearing about them, but I just don't believe so many of them.
No, me neither.
I think aliens is the only one that I could potentially
Oh yeah.
be convinced on.
Well, do you think aliens exist or no?
I think it's probable.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, you're the expert in outer space. What do you think of aliens? You're the alien on our cover image.
I am
so
the expert in aliens.
You
yes,
should
I am
know.
an alien. No, I think they exist, just not in our galaxy.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait. Oh, you're convinced they exist?
Oh yeah, I'm convinced they exist.
Why?
I actually think it's probably likely the universe is infinite, and in that case, they have to exist.
Interesting.
And so, but not. I just don't think in our galaxy. A lot of people think that they've visited us and crash sites and stuff like that. It's just not really possible for what we know.
You don't believe that?
No. Like, for instance, the nearest star and planet to us is Proxima Centauri B. That's the planet, right? And that's 4.2.
Yeah, this guy studied this shit. That's
and that's 4.2 light years away. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but light travels like 670 million miles per hour.
Yeah.
And so if we were to cover that distance, that would take us like 82,000 years with our speed and our technology. So the idea of anything visiting, and we can detect stuff from stars that close anyway. So anything would have to be further than that.
Right.
Which would take longer than 80,000 years. Maybe they have the technology, I don't know.
Maybe they could mask it. Have you heard I think it's the dark woods theory or the dark woods hypothesis?
Dark forest theory, yeah.
So that's like, from what I gather, it's sort of like aliens that are out there, if they're intelligent enough, they're going to be hostile, but they'll know that if there's like another intelligent life form out there, they'll sort of compete. And so they'd want to either hide from it or destroy it before. So essentially there could be aliens out there that are either hiding from us because they worry that, we'd fight them or they'd fight us.
That is probable.
Or if they discover us, they'd fight us, which is so much scarier.
That's scarier, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're probably, if that's the case, they're probably way smarter than us. Because we're always on the search for them and we're always putting out signals for them. And there's specific agencies made to try and communicate and send out missions for it. And it's kind of naive in a way because if we do get anything back, we don't know what it would be like.
Is that a risk with that hypothesis as well, that like if aliens are out there,
they could be
and
hostile.
they find out that we're here, they'll just kill us just to eliminate the risk of us?
I think it's scarier the thought that they are out there and in our galaxy and we don't know about them.
Yeah.
Because if we don't know,
they could be watching this podcast. In which case,
they actually could be watching.
Join
this
our
podcast.
Patreon. It's the least you could do if you're going to kill us one day.
Because if they're out there and we don't know about it, it's likely their technology is way better than ours.
Yeah.
There is a theory that they are in our galaxy and they are way more advanced, and the probes are already here, but we can't see them because they're that advanced.
Yeah. Well, some people believe the probes are human, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Like Liz Truss, people think was an alien.
You.
Me. You.
Me specifically.
If I was going to be an alien and I wanted to like influence the world, I'd become an industry plant on TikTok, and then I'd make a podcast, and tongue in cheek, I'd make myself an alien on the cover.
Yeah, that's what you're
so
saying.
you're pretty suspicious.
Okay. All right. Well, I can prove I'm human.
How?
I don't know.
What are you?
I don't know. I actually can't. Can you prove that you're human?
No, probably not.
Or that's another thing. Like, is anyone else real, or am I just the only real one?
Deep questions.
Do you think that yourself? Because I don't think you're real then.
Wait, you're convinced of that one as well?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
I can't figure that one out.
Yeah. Was it Descartes that said the only thing I can know is that I exist? That I think, therefore I am.
Oh. but that's all you've got, isn't it? All I know is I'm real.
That's the only thing you can know.
But do we even know that we're real?
But I mean, to be able to ask the question, you've got to be able to exist, right?
Okay.
To be able to say, like, do I exist? You'd need to have some sort of conscious experience. I think that was Descartes' like, whole thing. If it's Descartes, I'm probably getting that wrong. But his whole thing was like, if you can ask the question, there's some sort of conscious experience going on there, and that's the only thing you can know.
Can you ask that question?
Yeah.
So can I. So
but I don't know that you're asking that question.
I am. Just trust me.
Yeah, I don't know if I do.
Just trust me.
I also really I really got into philosophy because obviously like it kind of intertwines a bit with law. Like obviously when you're studying law, it's essentially supposed to be a bit of a reflection of society's morals. Like everyone kind of, that's how the whole thing started, is like, you know, you get together in a village and just go, we've got to stop people killing each other. If you kill people, let's, you know, stick them in a jail, that kind of stuff. And it develops over time. And then like the philosophy of like morality, I just find so interesting, especially like, I'd love to have, are you religious at all?
No.
I have no religious friends really.
Yeah.
I have maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But like none of my close friends are. I'd love to have like people on that have like.
My nana is very religious.
Is she?
Yeah. And she'll send me a lot of stuff about like God and Jesus. She's specifically Christian. And so but it's hard to have a conversation with her because she knows that I don't believe in God.
Right.
But as a Christian, it's part of their belief to spread the word, you know?
Yeah.
And especially for her, like, I think her biggest thing is that she believes in heaven, so she wants to go to heaven, but she wants her family to be there with her.
Yeah, she wants you to be there as well, of course,
therefore, she wants everyone to be Christian around her.
Yeah.
So that's a conversation that I have a little bit with her, but you can't really go too in depth because she is so sure of it.
Yeah. As well, like later on in her life, poor Nan, like imagine the year before she dies, she has a conversation with you and you convince her that God in heaven isn't true. And she's like, well, brilliant.
That would send her into a crisis.
Thanks, Patch. I forgot about a year. I was going to live forever in a place with infinite pleasure and see all my pals again that have all died. And now I'm fucked.
Do you believe in an afterlife?
I'm very open to all ideas. I'm sort of like I don't believe anything unless I can be convinced of it. Yeah. So I think it would be silly to say that you couldn't be convinced of anything, because realistically you could sit here and say like, I don't believe in God, but if God existed and presented himself to you, you change your mind on it, right?
Yeah, but I'm quite skeptical, so I'd think he's lying to me straight away.
Yeah, or I guess you could just be like, I'm just having a schizophrenic, or I could be hallucinating.
The brain is so powerful, you could like put it down to that. That's what I always do anyway, but that's because I'm skeptical of these things, you know?
Yeah.
Some people, it's their belief and it like powers their life, and it's a good thing for them and it brings out good in their life and stuff, so it is a good thing.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't really think about it, and I always try and like look at a different angle. That's how I come across it anyway.
1,000 likes on our first YouTube podcast and we'll get Italian Bach's Nan on to speak about Christianity.
She would love that.
Would she?
She would actually.
It would be very interesting.
It would be interesting.
We were actually speaking, saying that a part of the reason we wanted the podcast to be so broad was so we could have all sorts of people on.
Even you.
Yeah. Well, that's an idea. Yeah, go on. It's an idea.
It's your idea.
Or do we save it for when we actually is like a surprise so no one steals it before then?
Yeah, true. Sorry, guys, we can't tell you.
You guys might have a chance to come on in some capacity, but that will definitely be among the Patreon supporters. So if you want to have a chance of being a guest on the podcast for a short segment, or perhaps a full episode if you're really interesting.
If you're really interesting, but if you're not, you're getting cut.
Now when I tell someone they're only coming on for a segment, they're like, wasn't interesting enough.
Yeah, or they get cut completely.
Yeah, join the Patreon. Because like we were saying, we've got this big form that you can, I make it sound very daunting. It's a Google Forms that you can fill out and just basically say, if you want advice on something, if you've got a dilemma, or if there's something you want us to discuss, there's a potential in future that we can get people on as well from our Patreon support. So if you've got something specifically that we could converse about, but we'll tell you more details about that another time, probably on the episode that we actually do it on. But we were saying we wanted to get Brian Cox on.
Yes, that's the biggest goal of mine anyway. I don't know about you. Do you have a...
That's probably up there.
You reckon Brian Cox? Love Brian Cox.
Yeah.
Brian Cox, if you're seeing this, you probably are. Come on our podcast.
You probably are.
This is episode 100 now. We're very successful. Come on our podcast, please.
Yeah.
Please,
we could just clip this being like, this is episode 3,421.
Yes.
And we're doing for the 3,421st time, Brian Cox, please come on your podcast. It's about time. And so now if he sees that clip alone,
yeah, we're
he'll
the
be
number
like,
one
it's about
podcast in
time.
the world as well, by the way.
Yeah, that's a lot of days of podcasting.
That is a lot of days. How long do you think this will last?
That's like 10 years of podcasting.
Yeah, I'm giving this a couple episodes max, guys. It's probably done. Run out of things to talk about. One thing I did want to bring up. Have you noticed there's loads of birds around lately? And I'm saying birds is in the fly. I'm not calling women birds.
Are we going back towards conspiracy theories?
No. Just
okay, I'll
general
accept
life.
that there's... I haven't noticed it, but fine.
They're everywhere. Something is going on.
Really?
I'm telling you now.
There is a really cool conspiracy theory that birds aren't real. Have you seen that?
No.
There are some people out there that genuinely believe that birds are like government spies.
Oh, I've seen that, yeah. And they like change the batteries in the pigeons when they're not about and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know about pigeons, but I will say, people say, oh, they haven't seen a baby pigeon. I found a baby... Okay, my dad took down a bush in our garden.
Okay.
And
Rugby
he was really
tackled
angry. He was really angry. And there was a pigeon nest in it with eggs in, and he didn't realise till he took it down. And one of the eggs was like good. The others were like bad eggs anyway. And so I started hatching it with a hot water bottle.
No way.
And you can see it as it grows and stuff. Eventually it didn't come out. But what I'm saying is...
I imagine probably too hot. I hope you weren't doing boiling water.
Oh, well, this is the thing. So I couldn't afford an incubator. So I had a shoe box with flannels in it, dry flannels, egg, hot water bottle on top of the shoe box, and then wrapped it in a towel.
Right.
And I didn't even look online for that. I just assumed it would work. It worked for a week.
That is crazy. Because I swear you have to have a very specific temperature.
You do. And I had to get up every 3 hours to change the hot water bowl to keep it warm enough. But eventually the pigeon it stopped developing.
You probably boiled it alive.
I think it got too cold, but it wouldn't have had a life anyway without me.
True.
I'd like to make that clear, okay?
Yeah.
Because I found that egg. I even had a name for it. I bought baby bird formula for it. I was going to have a pet pigeon.
Yeah.
And that's how I know they're real, because I've seen an egg.
Oh, you know what? This is so funny. I nursed a pigeon back to health. No, I didn't actually. It died.
What?
So I used to live in my student accommodation in London. In my back garden, it was like this square sort of like very dark, dingy like block of flats and a big wall.
Yeah.
But like a pigeon had evidently gotten injured and landed and there was nowhere to go because it was sort of like in a giant box. And I was like, oh, this is so sad. And I got it in a box, like put it under a blanket, brought it in. It was like fully grown and stuff. And I looked online and I went down this rabbit hole of pigeons. Like, you know, they're like super smart, super loyal.
Yeah.
People that have them as pets love them.
Yeah.
And I was
great
fully
birds.
convinced I was going to like have this thing as a pet for ages.
Did you get excited? Because I did as
Yeah,
well. Because they will literally just follow you around.
Yeah.
They're like a parrot.
Like adorably cute.
Yeah, and you could teach them to do stuff as well.
I wish I knew more about pigeons because I keep seeing TikToks about it at the moment that like we brought loads of them up, like domesticated them as pigeons for like World War I and II. And they obviously did their job and we've kind of abandoned them in our streets.
Yeah, they just got ditched.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, a lot of our war veterans are alongside them, so...
True, with the pigeons.
Yeah, we haven't got our priorities in the right place. But it makes me feel really bad now when I walk past pigeons and I'm like, you guys...
Yeah, I really would like to tame one.
We've got a big thing. We were talking about Jersey's history before we did this podcast and about how... So I'm from the island of Jersey and we were occupied by the Germans in World War II.
That must have been really hard for you.
I was not around. And there are loads of obviously like German bunkers, German walls around the outside, but there are a lot of like pigeon towers that are still used by pigeons. So there are these like gigantic like tube buildings with loads of like pigeonholes in them.
And they just live in that.
And they live in that, like chilling by the beach, get loads of... I think that's really nice.
What from? Were they just used for like messages then?
Yeah, I think so. Delivering messages.
And they just like were stored in a...
And they just were kept in this giant building. And they just, generations later, they're just chilling.
That's really cool. How many
Seafront
are
property.
there? There's a lot.
Probably like 100 or 200.
I reckon... See, this is what I think. Do you have like a weird drive to try and tame something wild?
Yes, yeah.
I think with that many pigeons, you could tame one if you tried hard enough.
Oh, yeah, definitely. People do it with crows as well. Like,
yeah,
there
I want
been
a
stories
crow.
of people that have fed crows and they like bring their mates back for more food and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, did you see there was something on Netflix? Was it Life on Earth or whatever. It went through the history of life on Earth, and basically just said that dinosaurs, like small dinosaurs that survived through the extinction, became birds. So essentially, the birds, like the pigeons, are just like dinosaurs.
That is true. I've seen
around.
that. I went to New York in December with Chip and Theo, and I saw the Archaeopteryx, which is the transition fossil between dinosaurs and birds. They're like halfway in between.
I bet they look weird.
They are weird. I mean, bit of a fall from grace, isn't it? Being these giant flying dinosaurs and now they're chicken.
Yeah, that's true. Everything was so much bigger back then.
Yeah.
Amazing. I loved it.
Yeah.
But now everything's small.
Yeah. And now we kill those chickens and turn them into dinosaurs, like turkey dinosaurs, like their ancestors.
That's ironic,
and then eat
isn't
them.
it? That's ironic.
Bit disrespectful, really, isn't it?
I wonder if they know about that. That's what I mean. There's so
Probably
many
not.
birds around at the moment. They're doing something.
Do you think they're planning revenge for us killing them?
I don't know what they're doing.
Putting them in the shapes of their ancestors and eating them.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucked up.
I was walking the other day and there was loads. They're doing something out there.
Maybe they're government spies and they're spying on you because they know you're an alien.
How would they know that? They wouldn't have figured that out.
I'm suspicious.
You're
and if
not.
I'm suspicious,
Do
the government
you
is.
actually think I am?
Now I'm thinking about it. Lots of things don't add up.
I'm trying to think of something human on me that I can show you right now. Do you think that I've shapeshifted into this?
Maybe.
Or
See, you could have human DNA. There could be a really smart way of them turning your DNA into human DNA. So you could have everything human and I still couldn't prove.
That's another thing.
Was.
Are we just aliens? Some people, there's like a theory that says aliens came down,
And like planted us here.
messed around with apes and made us.
Interesting.
I don't believe it.
No,
but
we
I'm
have
just
too many
saying.
transitional fossils, I think, between the. See, I think, you know how you're like big on like space science?
Yeah.
So
you
I guess like
biology.
physics is your main thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Biology is my main thing. Like it's my favorite. So when you want to Brian Cox, there's a guy called Forrest Valkai,
Yeah.
who's an evolutionary biologist. And like, he's really big. He's known as, some of you might know him as Renegade Science Teacher on TikTok. He's got like 1.6 mil and he's like insanely knowledgeable. Obviously, like he does this thing for a living. But that's like the kind of content I consume. And I find that kind of stuff like really interesting.
Biology stuff.
Biology.
Evolution
So
and
I'd
stuff like
love
that.
to have someone, when I went on the Low IQ podcast, their whole thing was like essentially like about how they don't know anything. So my whole podcast episode was really weird. It was basically me like going through basically the Big Bang, evolution,
Yeah.
and a bit of Christianity, because I love theology as well.
Yeah.
And I think, was it Jack who said, wasn't Jesus the first human ever or something? And I was like, this is mental. But I didn't learn about evolution properly in school. I don't know if you did.
No, I did it a bit in uni because
Yeah.
I had like a module on it. But in school, we literally just did learn about animals. And they're like,
Yeah.
like evolutionary changes that just help them adapt to their environment. That's it.
Yeah.
Not really about humans.
But like, I think it's mental how like, if you ask most people today, even like fairly educated people, like, why are there monkeys and humans still alive if monkeys evolved into humans?
Yeah, people
Like
don't get
most
that.
people don't get that. Like, and same with theology. Like there's a bunch of theological questions as well that I think people don't know basic answers to.
Yeah.
That probably I don't know the majority of them as well. And that's why that's a big part of the reason why I wanted to have a podcast. Like I'd love to come and have a conversation with someone who like him, like an evolutionary biologist, as well as a creationist who doesn't believe it and why. And then a theology, like I'd love to see if someone could come on and convince us that Islam or Judaism or Christianity is true, or that evolution is or isn't. Like,
Yeah, like a debate.
yeah,
Yeah. I like watching those videos where it's like a debate and stuff.
yeah. Go on.
Because both sides, I like hearing both sides. It's because the truth is we don't know. So
Yeah.
like, no one's right really. Or maybe they are, we just don't know who's right.
Yeah. And I feel like we'd be quite good at digging through the answers, because sometimes you watch Joe Rogan
Yeah.
and he's such a divvy sometimes that like the guys are explaining really interesting concepts and he's like still like stuttering over the like basics, and it's like, this could be so interesting. I guess that's why people like Lex Friedman. Lex Friedman's really good at it because he's quite clever. So when he has people on, they tend to be pretty knowledgeable and he can kind of like work through the more interesting stuff. And I think it'd be cool to like have a podcast where we can have our mates on, have a few drinks, chat about stupid topics like conspiracy theories and aliens, as well as like, you know, maybe more deep topics.
Yeah, because Joe Rogan will have like Brian Cox on. speaking about space, and then Joe Rogan will just bring up bears.
Yeah.
You ever seen a grizzly? You ever seen a grizzly?
Yeah.
But Joe Rogan, if you're watching this, don't be afraid to come on.
Yeah. Feel free to.
Yeah.
Prove us wrong.
Please. We'll make time for it.
I do really like, I don't want to throw slander, like, we're starting a podcast and we're slandering probably the most popular podcast on the planet, and I actually do watch a lot of it.
Do you think you could beat Joe Rogan in a fight?
No.
If you took one of his arms away?
Probably an armless man. He's armless.
You think? He's armless anyway.
He's armless. Possibly.
Yes, because you work out.
Yeah.
And do you do any martial arts? Or
I don't know if people know this. I used to box for my county.
No way.
Yeah. I boxed for like a decade.
What, in Jersey?
Yeah. Well, when I went to Durham, I boxed for County Durham.
Actually?
Yeah.
Have you ever thought of doing any influencer boxing or anything like that?
The only thing is, it like, I don't know. Have you ever done anything like that? The training just sucks. Like just boxing and stuff. Like, I know if I sign up to do influencer boxing, I'd have like 6 to 12 months where like I'd have to eat. Like, obviously I'm quite good mates with Harry, and he's quite good mates with Gib. And there was one of his fights where like I was just spending a bit of time with them, and I was listening to what Gib was eating and his training, and I was like, it's such a commitment, and I don't necessarily think that it's what I'm looking for. Like, I don't really get the feeling of like, oh, I really want to prove myself by punching another guy in the head. I'd probably rather be known as like someone who makes entertaining videos or an interesting podcast than some guy who just like beat up another YouTuber.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Not that I don't find it interesting and that like I have tremendous amount of respect for it, but whether I'd want to spend 6 months like training 4 hours a day, eating like ridiculous meals that I'm not particularly enjoying, not being able to go out with my mates, not being able to go on holiday, all just for one like 5-10 minute. And let's be honest, like I'm not the biggest influencer in the world. Like I'll be like 8th in the rankings. Like most people won't have tuned in for this early bout that I'd be in, where I'm just battering some random TikToker.
Yeah. How do you think you would come in the rankings of ability though? Because if you box for your county, surely you'd be quite up there. Because no offense to the influencer boxers, they're not the best. There are some great ones, obviously, but
yeah, I feel like after a 6 month or a 1 year camp, like I'd get obviously, because I think doing it for so long, like the footwork and the punching and the moving comes very naturally.
Yeah.
But so much of boxing is just fitness, like getting back up to that fitness level. Like right now, I could go up against someone who's just done a 6 month camp, and I'd be pretty convinced that they beat me, because like I'd be blown out at the end of round 1.
Have you ever been knocked out?
No. Had a really awful one where I did this thing called like Fight for Bradley.
Yeah.
And it was for that. Do you know that Sunderland fan?
Yeah.
Who got
kid?
Yeah, a kid who passed away. It was like in memory of him in Newcastle. Obviously, I was at Durham, so I was all close to Sunderland.
Right.
And I think it was round 2. For some reason, I hadn't got a boxing gum shield. I had a rugby one, and it just wasn't built for boxing. Like I couldn't. And so like a lot of the times when I was taking heavy breaths, I was just spitting it on the floor. And so I was mid-fight, and like on the 3rd time, the ref just called off the fight. And it was such a shame, because like in the first round, there had been a stoppage. Like the ref was like pulled the guy aside. Like I was hitting him, and he stepped in, and I felt like I could have had and that was just really embarrassing, because I was like, I'd done all this training. It was around the time of my finals, and so I'd like arguably not done as well as I should have in my exams to like make sure I was fit for this fight, and ended up having a technical loss because I spat out my gum shield too many times. And after that was the last time I fought, and I was like, I'm not doing this again.
And that was it.
Yeah.
There was a time where I really wanted to do influencer boxing, but it's difficult because your whole, like all of your social medias, everything that you do becomes like just revolves around that.
Yeah.
Like you stop posting, and if you do post anything, it's like, it's a vlog of a camp or something like that. Do you know what I mean? And you basically just put your career like on pause and become an actual boxer. Like you sort of
basically,
have to, don't you?
Yeah, you live like one.
Yeah, and I don't think I could do that.
No.
Because if you don't have I don't know, YouTube for me and TikTok are just really important to be able to keep posting what I post on there. I couldn't take a break for that long of it.
Yeah, but you're in good shape. Like, do you do cardio stuff, or are you more?
Not really. I mean,
aesthetics.
I was, yeah. I train for aesthetics, but I haven't trained in ages.
Really?
Now, if I do run now. So I'm trying to just be healthier. So I've got asthma as well. Why are you laughing?
Sorry, I don't know why I laughed at that.
Yeah, my inhaler's over there. That's human. That's not alien. Aliens can't do that.
That's something an alien would say, though.
I've got asthma.
They give themselves a like mild weakness to be like, see, I'm only human.
Weakness, yeah, but that's why I run to try and like just have better lungs, because my lung, like you can test it on your Apple Watch, like my lungs are just bad.
Really?
Yeah, they're below average.
Do you smoke or vape?
No.
Good.
I know it's cool, but I don't do it.
Yeah. No. Is it
Yeah, it's really
low
cool.
IQ pod that they vape mid-pod sometimes?
Yeah, Jack does,
And
yeah.
you're watching it and he's just like...
Or he pops a
It's like-
snooze. He pops a snooze.
yeah, and you're like... Oh,
Yeah, no, he'll definitely whip out the vape.
oh, fair.
Oh, it's funny. I don't know if I can say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Actually, yeah, I can. Last time I was doing the low IQ pod, they had they were doing an ad read in the beginning, which should have taken like a minute. No joke, we were there for 45 minutes.
Oh my
They
goodness.
couldn't do it. Was so funny.
Well, 'cause he
and then
couldn't get his
Jack was
words
having
out.
like a vape. Yeah. Well, Jack just kept laughing. You know when you have to be serious about something,
Yeah.
and you just can't be serious. They were just going and going and going, and then Jack had to take like a vape break and stuff like that.
Had to take a vape
Had to
break.
take a vape break. Yeah.
Oh,
Do you
dear.
vape? Have you ever vaped?
Nah.
No?
I literally have never done any drugs of pretty much any kind. I went to Amsterdam in my second year of uni and tried to smoke weed, but because
yeah.
I've never smoked a cigarette, I was just like spluttering everywhere. It was really embarrassing. Also, I did is it an in-betweeners clip that I basically recreated? Like we went into this little coffee shop when like, can we buy some weed? And she went, which one? It was a bunch of jars. I just pointed at one completely randomly. She gave it to me and I was like, can you roll it up for me, please?
Please, can you roll
She was
it
like,
up
oh, this
for
is
me?
embarrassing. Did it. And then I went outside and was like, did nothing for me. And so,
Yeah.
but one thing I would do is psychedelics. I'd love to have,
What?
if I knew I was going to be safe, I'd love to have one of those like visual trips.
I'll give you a visual trip right now. Would you go to one of those camps?
What do you mean
Don't
by
worry
that?
about that. Don't worry about that.
If someone could put me in a straitjacket in a padded room, so I know
You would not want to be in a straitjacket.
because wow, would it make it worse?
Having
But
a trip.
then I would just know I wouldn't be able to hurt myself. I can't remember whether I've told this in a podcast before. One of the scariest things I studied when I was in law. So obviously, you cover murder, right? As one of the basic laws that you cover in the offences against the person. We covered murder, and there's a lot of questions that you have to ask on when people are culpable. And there was one story where this dude, his like wife was out and he just decided to like do shrooms or whatever, or LSD or whatever it was. And he tripped and had a crazy vision that a giant snake came in, right? And this giant snake just starts going, and starts attacking him. Basically like Ron Weasley's dad in Harry Potter. I don't know. Are you Harry Potter?
Yeah.
Okay. And he has this experience and he ends up like just finally conquering this snake, like this epic dream where he thinks he's great. And he ends up beating it by grabbing a blanket and shoving it down the snake's throat. And he comes out of the trip and it was his wife. So she had come home from work early. He was tripping. He thought she was a snake and he had killed her by shoving a blanket down her throat. Awful. And the court, his defense was basically like, I had no intent to kill a human being, so it's not murder. I know you don't know how to react.
Because you've gone from going, it's like a massive snake like Harry Potter. Turns out it was his wife.
Well, that's how the lecturer told it, and it hits you harder.
Yeah.
Because you're in this kind of like, oh my God, he fought the snake, and he realised, and that's my big fear of doing something like that. And obviously he ended up found guilty because he put himself in a position, like by taking illegal drugs. And it's the same as drink driving. You could be like, oh, I didn't mean to kill him. I was really drunk. I was blackout. I didn't have any intent to kill him or anything like that. It's like if you put yourself in that position, it's murder. And there was another story from where I live so because I live on an island, one of the things that the kids do is they go to the end of a pier, like, because obviously it's surrounded by beaches, and do the drugs there because like if you're smoking weed and the police are coming, first of all, you can see them coming down the pier and you can just chuck it off the edge and, you know, you've got nothing on you. But also like, yeah, you can just see anyone coming and no one troubles you. A guy tripped there, saw himself covered in spiders and couldn't get them off him. So he looked down into the water and ran and jumped off the pier to like get in the water and there was actually no water there. And he literally just in front of his mates went, ran and jumped off and landed on rocks.
Did he die?
And died. And so from those two stories, like that was my first year of uni hearing that. And then when anyone ever offered me drugs, I was like, hell no, because first of all, I had the scariest trip of my life Also, I could end up doing something that could put me in jail for 25 years minimum. And so that really put me off. So
even after those 2 stories, you want to do psychedelics?
I would do it. That's why I would only do it in a padded room in a straitjacket with people watching me, because I just knew I know I couldn't do anything silly.
That would be so boring for people watching you.
Yeah. It wouldn't be a live stream on Twitch. I mean, just like a mate. Just go like, I'll watch you whilst you trip, then vice versa tomorrow.
How long does it take? Do you know how long?
Hours. I swear some people do it for like 12 hours.
Yeah, I ain't watching you for 12 hours tripping.
Yeah. But maybe we do a podcast one day where we do...
We're high, we're tripping.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, drop a fat like and we'll do that. We'll get some crystal meth or something.
Yeah.
Do you trip on crystal meth?
I don't know.
Or
I don't know who I'd ask for that.
What's the one that Joe Rogan always speaks about? Ayahuasca or something?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, am I saying that right?
I have no idea, but I know what you're talking about. The one that like people go and do in the
they have the
in the
camps for
rainforests.
it. Yeah, exactly.
Discover their third eye.
Yeah, we'll do that and we'll discover our third eye.
Yeah. Anyway, I feel like this is a good, because we could honestly go on for absolutely ages on all these weird topics. But the idea of the podcast was to get an idea of, I mean, we've basically just waffled about
we have just
completely unrelated topics.
That's what it's going to be like though.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but with more audience interaction.
Yeah. So if you haven't already, follow us on socials. We're just Bach and Arthur. If you search either at Bach and Arthur or Bach and Arthur Podcast, you'll find most of our socials. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. What else is there? YouTube, obviously.
YouTube. That's it.
It's going to be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Basically, we're going to put it out wherever you guys want us to.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. But get involved. Click on the Google Forms and fill out. Let us know what you want us to talk about. You can suggest guests. You can slide into our DMs on Instagram, leave voice notes that we can play.
Send some voice notes. Send them through.
That could be fun. But basically, just get involved. And most importantly, the biggest one for us is the Patreon. So the Patreon will help us obviously continue to make the podcast. But that's where we can get funding for stuff. And also, that will help you massively stand out if you want to have a chance of coming on the podcast or having your dilemma read out. Or why is that funny?
Well, obviously that'll just make you stand out to us and we'll care about you way more.
Well, we've got to appeal to it because as well, there's more than that. Priority submissions is going to be one, but you'll get priority for everything. I think we'd like to do live shows at some point, merch drops, everything you can think a podcast will do.
Live music performances, live music, football.
Maybe.
Tricks.
Maybe.
Live, anything.
Yeah, live him doing his old man impression.
Yeah, if I could get a filter on for an episode, maybe I'll do that.
Saving Grace will be front stage for that. I did the fellas roast with her the other day, and when I said that I was doing the podcast with Batch, she was like, "I'll come on if he does the old man impression."
I don't know if I could keep it up for
she
a full
loves it.
Episode.
A lot of people do, evidently.
I'll end up saying something too far. Get cancelled. It was him, not me.
Yeah.
So
maybe even some exclusive content we were saying. So we've got a little studio here. We could do some, like a little
Adult
YouTube video. But head over to the Patreon. You'll see all the perks. And there'll be a Discord server, all this kind of stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Anything else to add?
That's it. We ended it on a really happy note, talking about the snake story.
It's terrible stories.
A couple of deaths.
There'll be happier stories, I promise.
Yeah, we'll always end it on death, I think. So that's how everything ends.
Yeah. And Liquid Death, if you want to sponsor us.
Yes.
No. Boring. The click-through rate or whatever it is. View duration will go down. They could do. But yeah, thanks very much for watching. Next Thursday, look out for the next episode. Episodes every Thursday from now on.
Yeah.
Drop us a follow, join the Patreon, and thanks for watching and listening.
Yeah, watch the next one now. Actually, it's not out. Don't watch it.
Bye.